Hi, welcome to You Didn't Get the Memo. I'm your host, Gloria Bailey Ray. And as always, we got a great show for you. As things will sometimes go a little awry, we're going to be working with what has been given to us, and we're just going to take it from there. Today, we got a great show, though. My guest is Fathia Macauley, and she's going to be talking to us about uh, the steps to home ownership. I want to share with all of you that You Didn't Get the Memo is really and truly about providing you, the viewer, with relevant, factual, mainstream information to help you be informed and to make informed decisions. If you have a question or you have a comment, you can place it in the comment section and we'll do our very best to respond or to answer. Now, home ownership. Listen, the importance of home ownership for many people represents stability, independence, freedom of reaching adulthood. Buying a home, it expands options for the future, whether you plan to sell, make a profit, leverage the equity in your home to pay for other major expenses. Owning a home can be very, very beneficial. It's more than just height. So some of you say, no, I would rather rent. But let me just tell you, it's the gateway. Home ownership is the gateway to long-term and short-term financial success. Long-term, you're going to be building an equity nest egg. And short term, you'll be able to enjoy potential tax deductions and pay yourself instead of paying a monthly rent to a landlord. So, like I said, today my guest is Miss Fathia Macauley, who is the Chief Lending Officer of Housing Trust. And let me tell you a little bit about Miss Fathia. She she's Chief Lending Officer, and she joined Housing Trust in September of 2019. This woman has a CV that is so expansive. She's so knowledgeable. She's done so many things. She actually provides oversight for Housing Trust lending program, which deals with multifamily, first-time homebuyers program, and ADUs. You know, that's a big thing for us here in California for certain are adult accessory dwelling units. Now, I want to tell you, Ms. Fathia has been in the field. Now, get this, of community development finance for the past 25 years. That's right, 25 years. So when I say she comes with experience, the sister is rolling with it. She got it. She's bringing it. That includes over 18 years of experience of financing and developing redevelopment projects throughout California. Fathia actually holds a master's degree in urban and regional planning from UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs, and she earned her bachelor's degree in history and African American studies from UCLA. So I want to say and welcome Miss Fathia. You there? Woo! Hey. Good to see you.
Good to see
Happy
you,
that
Gloria.
you could join us. You know, with the way the housing market is going, I was just looking at the news, what's happening in Austin. It's a boom. It's a boom that's happening here in California. So I was excited to be able to have you come into the show and to talk about what this process really looks like, because as you know, everybody has their own story and they'll tell you all these different things. But let's just start with, first of all, what's your backstory? I always like for people to know a little bit something about it. I read off a little bit from your bio, but you know what, let's just talk about what your backstory is. So tell our viewers something about who Miss Fathia Macauley is.
Well, hi, Gloria. It is so nice to see you. Thank you so much for inviting me to come today. Sorry, we had a little bit of, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, all that stuff. We got it going on, but it's good. I started out, I am from Los Angeles, and I started out in housing probably because I saw a lot of LA is a very rich city, so you see very poor people and very wealthy people. And what I found is that I wasn't, you know, people didn't automatically assume that we lived in a nice area. And, you know, we lived in the okay area. We didn't live in the wealthy part. We didn't live in the part that people thought was, you know, lower income.
Right.
But I just thought that was always so interesting about how people really cared about
Hmm.
where you live. And I found that I stumbled upon urban planning as a graduate, as an undergrad. I watched some of my classmates do some really amazing things. They were
Mm.
working on different community programs. And so then I decided, you know, urban planning seemed like I found out it was broad and wide. So
Yeah.
affordable housing is just a part, you know, my colleagues plan cities, plan freeway systems, they plan neighborhood grids. You know, the developers work in the cities, and you know, and there are some are like myself, and they're lenders, and
Hmm.
we're lenders in a really interesting way. We lend to developers who want to build multifamily affordable housing. We work with homeowners on down payment assistance, and then we are in the process of work on an ADU construction loan program. So this kind of like wide range of looking at affordable housing is exciting, and it kind of harkens back to around the time of the civil unrest of 1992, and I was a grad student at the time, and it was it was so painful to see the city kind of in not only in flames but also just it was chaotic, you know, and it was scary. And for me personally, my father was in the hospital. He was at Cedar Sinai, over over near, like, you know, the on the west side, and it was just this whole dichotomy, and it really kind of cemented the whole idea of revitalization. How do you
Hmm.
revitalize neighborhoods?
Right.
So as you get into it, you find out that it will take a while. It can there's some of the projects I was working on 20 years ago are just now getting completed, believe it
Yeah.
or not. But
Yeah.
people that we really want to actually work with.
Right.
You know, how do you help individuals who want to purchase homes or who want a higher quality
Yes.
of home? And those are the things that we focus on at Housing Trust.
Yeah. Well, and that's why it was just so important. I was so excited when you agreed to get on the show because you hear all of these different things. And I'm just going to back it up because you touched on lending. But yeah, I guess Reader's Digest version, what would you say to our viewers? First of all, and why I want to build on this is because we're going to get into where this goes from here. So, what exactly does a lending officer do? I mean,
So,
what's
a
that
chief
one or
lending
two
officer, like
major
what I
roles?
do, or what do my colleagues do?
Well, what do you do? Because we're talking to you, so tell us about it. Because
Okay,
look, people gonna want to
I
come
know.
in and say, "I
Well,
want to talk to Miss Fathia."
I know.
Right,
What do we do?
right.
So I'm the chief lending officer, and so I have 4 departments that I oversee. So one is our multifamily lending division. They provide loan to affordable housing developers. So the way the loan gets approved is not only does the credit have to be substantial, from not substantial, like substantiated. You know, we have to verify and underwrite the particular multifamily borrowers. And the second thing we have to do is they have to create a summary. So not only does the credit profile have to be created, but one of the things that we do is to really try to work on projects that have impact. So what does that mean? We try to work on projects where the maybe the income level of the building is trying to reach people who are very low income. And so that's really, really important for us because while we're doing that, we have this opportunity to affect neighborhoods and to affect really very low income families. So oversight of multifamily, and then we've got our loan administrators, and our loan administrators are amazing. They're the ones who actually make the loan happen and close the loan, help the developer get the funds that they need to move the project forward. And then I oversee our first time homebuyer program, really amazing program. We
Yeah.
have 5 members of that team. and they work with homeowners, and they are some of the most compassionate and smartest people I've ever met in terms of being able to explain the program guidelines.
Mhm.
So I have oversight of that program too. So a lot of what do I do on a daily basis? Usually I'm working with borrowers to find out how their projects, what their projects need. I'm working with my colleagues to kind of figure out how can we make our systems work better. Sometimes it can be very administrative. There's uh, a lot of approvals that I have to do, loan summaries. And sometimes we have things like we have like meetings that we have to handle. I do a lot of speaking engagements. I work with our CEO who supervises me and my
Right.
other colleagues on the senior staff team. So a lot of where I am is kind of like in the process. My mind is to try to see kind of a wider view,
Right.
of where we are lending and where we're having impact. So it's
Right.
homeowners, to be homeowners, and then individuals who are looking for high quality affordable housing.
Yeah. So on that macro level,
Mhm.
you are, kind of like all over. But I want to you lead us into talking about homeowners. So let's talk about the different programs. There are a lot of different programs, but the program for someone that's a first-time home buyer, they're wanting to purchase a home. Walk us through and tell us, what does that look like for someone who walks into your facility and say, I want to talk to someone about buying a home. And a
So
lot of times people believe in, I want to just buy a home, but I believe that there are steps to that. They need to know if they can actually even afford a home. So can you just kind of walk us through that process and what it looks like?
sure, sure. So we work with people who they've heard about the Empower program. So we work with the County of Santa Clara, and the County of Santa Clara created the Empower program, I guess maybe about 2 years ago, maybe three. And it was through Measure A, and Measure A passed in Santa Clara County. And that is to provide down payment assistance to first time home buyers who make up to 120% of the area median income. So the down payment assistance program, how does somebody get there? They give us a call, or they usually talk to our navigator, and the navigator helps them to understand some of the program guidelines. Do they qualify? Because the way that the program is created is the person needs to come in with 3% down payment, and then the program can provide up to 17% of the purchase price. So depending on the home right now, the guidelines, the maximum home purchase price is $800,000. So that means that a person can get provided with potentially with a down payment assistance of 17%, which is $136,000. It's substantial, Gloria. I mean, really, that's amazing.
Wait a minute, I'm trying to wrap my arms around my head around
Mhm.
what you just said.
Yeah,
Someone who comes in and a $800,000 home. I mean,
$800,000 home is the maximum purchase price. So what does that look
wow.
like? So let's say
Yeah,
you are a
yeah.
teacher. Let's say you've got a so some of our homeowners are maybe it's sometimes it's a one person household. Sometimes it's a lady with two kids, or it's
Mhm,
a husband and wife with two kids.
mhm.
But whatever that moderate income home that level is for up to 120% AMI, it's by the number of people in your household, and then the numbers go up from there. So if you make, let's say you make 100, maybe I think it's what is it 105,000 right now. If you make 105,000 per year with the new, I think it's the new guidelines. Oh, you've got all my cool links. Look at you, Gloria. You got all that stuff. That's amazing. Okay. I wish I did Twitter more often because I'd be like, hey, y'all. But so the person needs to make between the program really works for people who make between 81 and 120% of the area median income. So I'd have
Okay.
to have one of my amazing staff to give the information on what that looks like, because I don't have the number right off the top of my head.
Right.
But I think I can give you some specifics that might be helpful, or examples.
Okay.
Like, we had a teacher and she ended up buying a condo. So she put 3% down and she received 17% of the purchase price towards her down payment.
Get
So what
out.
that does, so what that does is that totals 20%. So that person does not have to have the PMI of the mortgage insurance, the
Yeah.
property mortgage insurance that the bank
PMI.
requires.
Wow.
That can be kind of pricey. I don't know what the range is for some. I've seen PMIs as low as $100. I've seen them as high as $300. It really depends on your credit score.
Right.
What our staff does is they work with our potential home buyers, and they let them know if they are eligible, right? Use the word eligible, and then they ask them to go and take a home buyer education class that's offered by a local organization, because the whole idea is knowing what you're getting yourself into. Homeownership is different from renting. And you really, there's a lot of things to know. So it's an 8-hour class, and usually, so whoever is going to be purchasing the home would have to be enrolled in the class. So it's a husband and wife, and they're both going to be on the loan. That they both need to take the home buyer education.
But think about this. If you're saying that your bank will up 17%, because that's what you hear used to be when with me putting 10%. Oh, if you can do 15, or now you're seeing 20. But to be able to receive 17% on top of the little 3% that you got to put down. So for a 2-bedroom condo, or even a 1-bedroom condo, we're still talking about home ownership and what that means to someone. I mean, it could make a world of difference. And to know that Housing Trust, this is one of the many programs that you guys offer. I mean, people, I see some comments that are popping in, but I just think that is absolutely phenomenal. So we're going to take a real quick break, because when we come back, I want to continue that. And then we're going to get into also talking about the different types of loans, FHA, VA, conventional loans, that type of thing. So you guys don't go anywhere. Keep putting your comments or questions up there. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Roll over. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
All right, if you guys are just tuning in, listen, you've probably already missed some really, really great information. My guest, Miss Fathia Macauley, who is with Silicon. Oh, sorry, Fathia. There you are. All right. With Housing Trust of Silicon Valley, is talking about all of the different ways that they are helping people to actually secure home loans. And before we went to break, I just need to kind of wrap my head around the fact that she gave an example of someone having 3% to put down, and how Housing Trust actually put together 17% more to make it a 20% down payment. So Fathia, thank you for being here and talking about the different types of loans that Housing Trust does. So before we went to break, one of the things that I said when we come back, I wanted to talk to you about the types of loans that are available to consumers who are purchasing a home, and to talk about what the differences are. So let's just start with what does FHA mean for those who may not know? And what is that difference between an FHA loan versus a VA or a conventional loan?
Okay, so first off, can you see me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, great.
No technical difficulties here.
What'd you say?
Okay. I said no technical difficulties here.
Okay,
You're good.
okay. So,
All right.
so what is, oh, can you see me okay? You can. Yes? Okay. Gloria?
Yes. I'm giving you
Okay, good.
thumbs up.
Thank you.
Yes.
So one of the things I do want to say is I really specialize in the multifamily lending. That's
Okay.
really a lot of my staff really can give you a lot of great information on like some of the differences. So we work in a second position. So we work with lenders who would be in our down payment assistance would be in second position behind
Mhm.
another loan, like a conventional loan.
Okay.
So the difference is FHA loans are insured. So what I do know, I know just a little bit enough to be dangerous, but I've got my since I do the broad view, I don't
Right.
want to
Right.
like get myself into trouble and say things that aren't correct. But so FHA, these are mortgages that are insured by the Federal Housing Administration.
Right.
Most notably, they're the ones where you can put like 3.5% down. And so they work like any other mortgage, and
Mhm.
you can put usually they allow 30-year fixed rate, mortgages just like any other. So one of the things, a couple things I do know about it is that there is a minimum FICO score of I think it's 580. Don't quote me, but I think that's it.
Mhm.
And
And
the
that's not
thing,
bad at all. If you talk about
mm,
580 as a FICO score,
yeah.
I mean, that's actually considered
Hmm.
good if that's what Housing Trust is looking at. That's not bad at all.
Exactly. So, that's one thing. And then there's, I was just reading something online. It says, I think that in 2021, the max loan amount will increase to 822 from
Hmm.
765. So, home
And that's
prices are up.
822,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So, one of the things I would suggest people do is really explore what if there's any reserve requirements, which I don't believe there are. But I think that if you are going to purchase something that's like between like 3 and 4 units, because you can buy up to like a 4 unit property,
Wow.
you have 3 months of principal and interest payments available to reserve. So I
Hmm.
think that FHA helps people get started, and which is wonderful. I
Right.
mean, you
Right.
need FHA and VA. All I know is that's for veterans, and then I know that. But these are all wonderful programs that allow people to get into a home, and
Right.
that's what we want. We want people to, become homeowners,
Hmm.
and create that wealth generation because that's what I was talking about with the
Yes.
whole idea of
Yes.
being able to. What does a home do? And so when I think about like what wealth creation, I think I read a statistic yesterday that said that renters have a net worth, and it was like maybe 4 digits, and the average homeowner has a net worth, and it was 6 digits.
Hmm.
So there is something to being able to purchase a home.
Right.
So what I'd love to do is maybe on your next program, I'd like to have one of my wonderful colleagues to really break down what will we do with the down payment assistance. And we do have a home ownership expo that's coming up on Saturday, May 15th.
Oh,
And
so that's soon.
it's going to be
Mhm.
Saturday. And so we'll have our staff will be talking about the Empower program, the one that I talked about with Santa Clara County,
Hmm.
and other colleagues will be talking about, and well, actually, it'll be multilingual because we will have Empower program in English, it'll be in Spanish, and I believe the third. I'll have to check the third language because it may be that it's going to be in Vietnamese, which is kind
Okay.
of exciting.
Okay.
They have multilingual programs happening.
Yeah. Well, Fathia, we've got a couple of questions that have come up. And so let's start with one of the questions is, would Housing Trust Silicon Valley down payment assistance be a possibility for a nonprofit organization trying to purchase a home for the first time in order to provide housing for low-income women?
So we do multifamily. So the down payment assistance is for individuals, and then organizations, and that's like so that's different. So an individual or some organization who want to purchase a home, usually I don't know if that would necessarily qualify for what we do.
Okay.
Usually we work with multifamily. And so if a nonprofit organization, we usually do work with nonprofit organizations that are interested in purchasing a multifamily unit or site that they want to build housing upon.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's probably, Melissa, if that is what you're thinking, I'm thinking if they're a nonprofit that houses women who are homeless and, you know, help them to get on their feet, they would need a place to stay.
Okay, so specifically they want to purchase a home. Well, I think that it depends. It sounds like it's going to be kind of a group use then. There would be multiple users of the same home. Would it be a licensed facility? Do they know?
That's a good question, and I hope that she's listening and will respond. But I do know that for women who are homeless or, you know, who have been trafficked or who are a part, you know, they come from a domestic violence situation, they need a home, they need a place to stay, they need to be able to get onto their feet. So I would imagine, you know, a home or a building that's large enough to be able to house these women and help them to get jobs and to become self-sufficient, things of that nature. So that might be
a possibility. I think that these I would be interested in hearing more.
Okay.
I'm curious, Gloria, how many people do we have joining us today?
Well, you know, because they're on this person is on YouTube, and I don't have YouTube numbers here, and we've got 7 people live who are on Facebook at this point. So, but it just depends because, you know, people can go back and look at the show. I know 5 p.m. Pacific time, a lot of people are just getting off work, but also it depends on the East Coast, and we have viewers that are all over that are watching. And in fact, there was a question, is this program restricted to California residents only? So
we are a regional CDFI, yes.
Oh, okay. So it is regional. All right. And the person who asked the question about the down payment assistance for the nonprofit org says, yes, it would be multiple women living in the home. This would be a long-term housing for them. This would be women who have experienced domestic violence and homelessness, as I shared with you. So it sounds like it would be just a phenomenal thing to be able to do. You know,
one of the things that we do is we cover the 13 county Bay Area. So that would be what's traditionally known as the 9 county Bay Area. And then so that would be Santa Clara, let's see, Alameda, Contra Costa, Solano, Marin, Sonoma, Napa, San Joaquin, and San Mateo, San Francisco, Santa Cruz, Monterey, and San Benito. So I know that's a lot, but I just wanted to just make sure that the person knows that it would need to be in one of those 13 counties.
Yeah. Well, but it's good to know because I know we have someone that the person asked the question about if it's California, you know, they're in the state of Texas. So people all over watching, but it's really great information. And maybe they may find a banking institution who has, or a lending institution who has a program that's very similar, but at least it gives them information to be able to go into research and to find out. So I think that's really good. So Fathia, let's take a really quick break. And when we come back, let's talk about what determines if a person can afford or purchase a home. Let's get more into that. And what I'm looking for is people, those things that they need to know prior to purchasing a home. There's some people, I'll just say back in the day, I remember folks who were doctoring up their bank statements and things like that. So we want to talk about those things that people need to know and why they need to know them. So you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The forest is a whole hidden world of wonders. What better place to let your imagination soar? Experience nature and create a memory you can share. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest or park near you.
All right, guys, if you're just tuning in, we're just having great dialogue with my guest, Miss Fathia Macauley. And I see that more and more questions are coming in regards to her talking about her organization and the things that they provide. And so thank you guys for that. This is where you are able to get answers to your question. And this is why I love this particular platform. So before we went to break, one of the things that I had asked Miss Fathia, if she would talk a little bit about what people need to know prior to purchasing a home. So, Fathia, you're there back with us. So, okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. But I think that it's great that it gives people hope to know that Housing Trust Silicon Valley, there are people who may have owned a home, and guess what? They may, for whatever reason, they may have lost their home. There are a myriad of reasons, but they're back and they're ready to become homeowners again. And I love what you said. It's about us being able to be sustainable and to own a home. And there is nothing more to me that I think gives you a sense of pride than being able to own your own home. So let's just talk about what are some of the things that people will need. And by the way, thank you guys for your comments. This is a great informational show, good information. Thank you guys so much. That's what we strive to do. I really appreciate it. So before we took a quick break, that was one of the things that I had asked you in terms of purchasing a home, applying for a loan, some of those things that people or lenders will ask for, bank statements or tax returns, credit history. And although, a 580,
that's for the FHA. That's not for our program.
Okay.
I just have to be really clear that that is for, you asked me about FHA, so that's something different than
okay. Yeah. So talk about those things that people will need, even all the way down to why you need a photo ID of them.
Okay. So most of the time when people work with us, we ask them for what their where you work right now. We ask for a lot of personal information. People kind of bristle a little bit, but these are the things. So think about it as if you are there. People are trying to figure out what's your financial situation right now and what has been for maybe like the last 2 years. So what they're trying to figure out right now is what is your, let's say your last 60 days of pay stubs. They would look at that, and this is just hypothetically like when I was qualifying for a loan, what did I have to do? So I'm going to speak from my own self and tell you what my experience was. So they wanted to know what the last 2 years of my pay statements, because they were trying to figure out most recently, what does my income look like? Then they're going to they asked me for my W-2s. So my W-2s, what did I make the prior 2 years? And then they wanted the tax returns for the prior 2 years. So since we're in an interesting time period, did you have your 2020 tax returns complete? Or do you have the W-2 for that? So those are some of the things that people are going to ask. But they'll also ask you for an idea of for you to list any sort of you have to do a credit check. So you have to give your social security number. So some of the things that it's different with when an individual's coming in. You really have to think about where you are. What are your assets? What are your bank account balances? So, looking at home ownership in a way that allows you, you have to look at it, for me, at least for me, when I looked at it, I had to look at um, where am I right now? Am I in a place where I'd like to move from, renting to owning something? Where would I like to go? And so that's when you're thinking about that, then you realize that the information that you're providing helps to give people a picture of how do you evaluate if somebody is financially ready. So
Right.
you make
Right.
the decision, but then the bank has to make it, or the credit union. Let's say you go with a credit union and you talk to them. They're going to ask you questions about your assets, your bank accounts,
Right.
any credit cards, any revolving credit scores, any student loan balances. Those are the things that are extremely important for people to the financial institution to know. And so those are some of the questions that we explore as well when we're talking about the down payment assistance program.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know that people who are watching the show, that you're asking for this also simply because of the fact that uh, it's not one of those situations where when you're talking about becoming a homeowner, you're not talking about just getting in for the short term. You're talking about a long-term commitment. And that's the thing. That to me is what builds communities when you become a homeowner and you are vested. And that's really, really important. And needless to say, if you can't provide this type of information, it would stand to reason that if you don't have proof of income and you don't have history around tax returns or those types of things, then it would be very difficult, um, if not impossible, for somebody to make that loan, because the banks want to be able to know that they're going to get paid, right? They don't want to have a bad investment. I'm sorry.
You had Nikki Beasley on a couple weeks ago.
Yes, that's right. That's correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
is amazing. So Nikki Beasley, one of the things that they do is they counsel people on
Yes.
the home ownership process.
Mhm.
Richmond Neighborhood Housing Services. I'm on the board. Hello. One of the things that they do is they really work with people on trying to create that I guess that profile for themselves. What
Right.
do I, what do, and then they help them to facilitate a relationship so they can apply with
Mhm.
a financial institution. So I just find that to me, those types of organizations that are actually, you don't have to do this by yourself, because
Right.
when I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine, doing this on my own. It's just all this personal information. People don't.
Right.
So getting an organization to assist you that would give you like the information that you need, I love that. And there are a number of organizations that are similar that also provide that one-on-one um, interaction and can help to explain like the why. Because if you're like me, you're like, why do they need this information? Is this really, what do they need from me? So I just would encourage people, if you have a housing organization that provides housing counseling services, I would go to them, ask them
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And in case you guys are wondering, actually, Nikki Beasley, the executive director of the Richmond Neighborhood Housing Services, was on last week.
Mhm.
And thank you for mentioning that. And she was so dynamic and just in tune to really helping people to become homeowners and talking about what that means, what that process actually looks like.
Mhm.
So that brought us to talking about, what housing trust does, because that piece that really drew me in, that you're talking about helping people with down payments. That to me is like unheard of, and I just think that it's just a win-win all the way around. But when we talk about, let's just say that the client has all of these things together. Let's talk about the length of time that it actually takes to process a loan. Is there any way that a consumer can speed up the lending process, or is there just the average time and you just got to wait?
You know what? I think that you have to ask that question when you're talking to the financial institution. How
Okay.
long does it take? Do they suggest that you go ahead and get pre-approved or pre-qualified? Are you
Hmm.
getting pre-qualified or are you getting pre-approved? Pre-qualified is for some, or I talked to a credit union once, and when they pre-qualified somebody, they said, well, it's just like a pre-approval. And then I talked to somebody else and they said, no, you're going to need a pre-approval. So that's the question to ask them. And you ask them, how long does that take? And then, if I found something throughout this process, what would that overlap be? Because when you want to place an offer on a property, you do have to put that in the offer, how long your financing contingency. So for financing contingencies that I've seen are, that you have to talk to the bank to make sure that they can accommodate that period. So, it could take anywhere from, I would say, let's say, maybe 30 to 45 days to get pre approved or pre qualified. But I would also say that, within that process, um, are you looking? Have you started looking? Are you not going to look? Are you going to wait until you get pre qualified? And I think that's when you work with organizations that provide the housing counseling to start to just talk to somebody, because I feel like all of this starts with a conversation. Like, where do you want to be?
Yeah, I would agree with you, most definitely. But that is good to know because I can remember when I purchased my first home, it was, I was looking, and I think I just more or less kind of stumbled upon this realtor, and he had suggested that I get pre qualified. I knew nothing about the process, I knew nothing about getting pre qualified. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
And when we really got the ball rolling because the pre-qualification allowed the realtor to know kind of that range that I could look at in housing, and that helped narrow down their scope rather than taking someone to see $1 million home and you can only afford a $450,000 home. That makes a big difference as well. So that was one of the things that I think that's also important. Well, but tell me this, Miss Fathia, what's the greatest strength, in your opinion, that you feel that Home Trust, Silicon Valley has versus other lenders? What would you say?
Well, so we don't do consumer finance. What we
Okay.
really do is the down payment assistance is different. So we're in second position behind the mortgage. So we
Okay.
provide our down payment assistance doesn't allow that you don't have to make a payment during the term of your loan with your first lender. So the biggest thing is that we're not a bank. We are a nonprofit organization. We're a community development financial institution, and we are able to provide something different. So that's the biggest thing that we're different is what they were not a bank. We're not a credit union. We're a
Mhm.
community development financial institution.
Yeah.
So that's the
Okay.
first difference. And the second difference is that you would want to work with a bank or credit union or another lender on your first mortgage. And so
Mhm.
that first mortgage is going to help you to I once you get pre-qualified or pre-approved with that particular entity, you would
Mhm.
come on back to us and you'd work with my colleagues on going through the process of finding out your eligibility and ability to fill out an application for the Empower program.
Mhm.
So our down payment assistance program is called Empower, and it's empowers Santa Clara County, and it's a program County of Santa Clara through Measure A. And it's exciting to see homeowners like continually being able to use the program.
Oh, I love it. I
Mhm.
love it. Okay. Well, when we come back, I'm going to ask you, give you a minute to think about this. What do you want viewers who are watching the show to take away from today's show? So we'll be right back. You guys don't go anywhere.
I'm not going to move.
Thank you for watching the You Didn't Get the Memo show. with your inspirational host, Gloria Bailey Ray. It's your contributions that make this happen. To become a sponsor, send an email to youdidn'tgetthememo@gmail. That's the letter U, didn't get the memo. If you're not in a space to be a sponsor, but you like what you hear, we simply ask that you support what you like by making a contribution to the show. There are 3 ways to make an online donation. Visit paypal.me/Gloria Bailey Ray or Cash App or Venmo, Gloria Bailey Ray. Give what you can. Your support is appreciated.
All right. So before we took a quick break, I left Miss Fathia Macauley with this question. And the question was, what do you want viewers who are watching the show to take away from today? So, Fathia, did I give you a moment to think about that?
You know what? You did. I even went to
Okay.
the Housing Trust website because I feel like there's a lot of inspiration, when I look at our the ways that we think about it. When you go to the Housing Trust website, you're going to see that it says that we believe safe, stable, affordable housing opens the door to better living for everyone. And that we, through our innovative programs and deep partnerships, that we rally people and resources to create affordable and sustainable housing opportunities for all our neighbors. So I also would add that I think that, we believe deeply in impact. And I also would like to have the viewers understand that I think that the wealth creation is a really big part of it, that path to home ownership, working with partners, making sure you can ask questions. I think what I love about Gloria's program today is that you've created a venue to create a discussion. And I think all of this starts with asking questions and having a conversation, So I would encourage anybody who has thought about purchasing a home to just kind of ask a couple of questions. What do I want you to know? I think sometimes it's what I want you to do is to think through, like, where are you right now, and what is it that you would like to where would you like to move forward? I was on a panel a couple months ago, and two of my co-panelists were talking. We were talking about our organizations, and we all do something similar. And we all had a very similar approach to this work, which is, how do we enrich in people's lives? How can we help people move forward? And I think those are some of the things that I want people to take away, is that organizations like ours really try to help move people forward. And I think
Right.
that this is the value.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Ms. Fathia, don't go anywhere. I want to say to the viewers, listen, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. You've got information. Be sure and share the video, because it stays up on the Facebook page or YouTube page. And I hope that you got information that will help you get started. You've been thinking about, I think I want to purchase a home. I think I can possibly swing purchasing a home. Then there's only one way to find out. And you got some really, really good information from my guests today. I want to also remind all of you to be sure and tune in this time next week. We got just a great show through June. Next week, I have the most dynamic Miss Lavacious Lou, who's a creative strategist. She's going to be talking about exclusion and inequality. Then the following week on the 18th, I will have the renowned Miss Andrea McCoy, who is an artist, and she's going to be talking about activism through art. And then we're going to round out the month of May with Mr. Derek Butler. He's going to be talking about cosmetology meets technology. Guys, we got great shows lined up for you, so you do not want to miss, okay? I think that we have also a reminder for all of you. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, for watching the show. But remember this, the quality of your life is determined by the decisions that you make. Be kind, stay safe, and remember to practice emotional intelligence and pay it forward. Until this time next week, Be well. God bless.